What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this one we have why the US fears India. A new global power emerges, briefly explained. I'm excited to jump into this and figure out the reasons. Although I kind of know the reasons. I think, the US really just don't want anybody to be a competitor with them. They don't want another superpower rising up. In India, if you look at their growth right now, you look at their rate of GDP growth, you look at the military, you look at the economy, India is on the rise right now. And anybody else on the rise to become a superpower is not good news in the United States book. That's just going to be, from watching videos, my conclusion, my assumption. Before we dive in, though, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe, give a video a thumbs up, and if you guys would like to join this or support this channel by becoming a member, all you gotta do is hit that join button and receive your exclusive benefits. Let's dive in.
Is the mighty U.S. shaking in its boots? Is America, the global hegemon, finally losing its grip on the world stage? Today, the answer might be found in one word: India. Yes, India, a country once seen as a developing nation, now flexing its muscles in the most unexpected places. And Washington doesn't like it. Let's be real here. India isn't the India of the past. It's no longer a silent observer in the shadows of global politics. It's a challenger, a disruptor, and perhaps America's biggest strategic headache. So why is the U.S. so scared of this new India? Let's start where it hurts most, the Asia Pacific. For decades, this region was the cornerstone of America's global strategy, an area where U.S. influence was unrivaled. But now India is changing that balance of power. India's participation in the Quad, alongside the U.S., Japan, and Australia, has become a focal point in countering China's aggressive expansion in the Indo-Pacific. But unlike previous decades, India is no longer just a junior partner in these strategic dialogues. India has developed its own strong regional alliances, such as its growing defense ties with Japan and Australia, making it a key player in shaping the future of the region. America's military power might still dominate, but India's increasingly assertive role, especially in maritime security and anti-piracy operations, signals that the U.S. can no longer dictate terms.
Hey, the U.S. is like, right now, they saying U.S. still stronger military still, but India's creating great relationships. India's strengthening relationships in that area that the U.S. had held so much influence for so long. And now India is no longer a silent observer. U.S. now no longer dictates the rules to India. India is a disruptor. India now, you know what I'm saying? They're like, no, like, we're going to do what we want and what's best for us. And so it's just very interesting to see kind of things starting to shake up a bit as India's influence as well is definitely growing.
Recent Indo-US military exercise, Indo-US 2023, further highlights this shift. Both nations now stand shoulder to shoulder as equals, not as an older superpower and its dependent ally. Then there's defense. The U.S. has historically been the world's largest arms supplier, and for decades, India relied heavily on U.S. and Russian military imports. But things are different now. India's defense manufacturing capacity is surging. India is not just buying weapons anymore, it's making them. Prime Minister Modi's Make in India initiative has resulted in the development of indigenous military hardware, from fighter jets like the HAL Tejas to advanced missile systems such as the BrahMos. India is now exporting defense equipment to countries like the Philippines and Armenia, territories once dominated by U.S. suppliers. In a world where military exports are a key instrument of soft power, India's rapid development of its defense sector is something the U.S. cannot ignore. Why? Because every dollar that flows into India's military exports is one less dollar for American defense contractors. The latest government push for India to become a global defense hub is positioning it as a competitor, not a client, in the world's arms race. Africa, long considered a geopolitical playground for the U.S., is another area where India is making waves. While the U.S. has traditionally dominated Africa's security partnerships and economic agreements, India has quietly built strong military and economic ties across the continent, In 2023,
That's crazy because I didn't even know like the U.S. I guess was so big in Africa. Just because videos I see, it seemed like in Africa, like influencing everything, it was between China and India. So I didn't even know the U.S. was in the conversation. But that's crazy. It's like yeah, like places that the U.S. has dominated for so long, and areas in that the U.S. has dominated for so long. Now India is not just a buyer, a customer anymore, where America's been a supplier this whole time. India's becoming a supplier itself. And so, as they're strengthening ties and strengthening relationships and strengthening certain industries that America has dominated for so long, what he said, $1 put into India's pocket in defense is one less dollar, basically $1 taken out of the U.S.'s pocket in defense, and so. Basically, India is becoming a competitor to the U.S. in so many different ways, and I don't think the U.S. Yeah, I don't think the U.S. would like that or likes that.
India held multiple military exercises with African nations under the India-Africa Defense Dialogue. From defense training programs to strategic arms sales, India is filling the gaps the U.S. has left behind. India has also been supplying critical infrastructure and technology support in Africa, strengthening alliances that will shape the continent's future. The U.S., which once viewed itself as Africa's natural partner, is losing ground as India rapidly grows its influence, militarily and economically. As Washington watches these developments from afar, the question remains, is America ready to lose its stronghold on Africa to India? The Middle East, another critical area for American influence, is seeing India's presence expand at a fast pace. The Chabahar port in Iran is a perfect example of how India is building new trade routes that bypass traditional American-dominated pathways. This strategic port connects India to Afghanistan and Central Asia, providing an alternative to Pakistan's Gwadar port, which is backed by China's Belt and Road Initiative. More importantly, Chabahar positions India as a crucial player in regional stability, especially as the U.S. sanctions Iran and isolates itself further from Middle Eastern economies. India is leveraging its position to mediate in regional disputes and secure economic partnerships, giving it significant leverage in a region where the U.S. once held unchallenged sway. Perhaps most unsettling for the U.S. is India's growing role in BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. BRICS is emerging as a counterweight to the Western-dominated G7. As the U.S.-led world order faces increasing challenges, India's alignment with BRICS, particularly its relations with China and Russia, is shifting the global balance of power. While Washington leads NATO and the G7, India is quietly consolidating influence within BRICS, a group that now represents a significant portion of the global economy and population.
That's so crazy. But yeah, I got to learn about BRICS not too long ago and the different countries involved in BRICS, and that being like a different club, and they're not letting nobody else in the G7 club. All right, we'll go and create our own club. And definitely countries with absolutely humongous populations control so much of the, like you said, economy and population in the world. And so, yeah, the U.S. still leads G7. But India sounds like in the BRICS, I'm not sure. Is India the leader of BRICS? We're basically inside of BRICS, or is every country, I guess, looked at as basically like equal partners? Or is it China, or is it Russia? Y'all talk to me in the comment section. But let's keep it going.
India's proposal for BRICS to create an alternative global currency to challenge the U.S. dollar's supremacy is perhaps the boldest move yet. If India and its BRICS allies succeed in this venture, it could undermine America's economic dominance, which has long relied on the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency. The U.S. is also watching with unease as India's technology sector continues to boom. India's own Silicon Valley in Bengaluru is producing innovations in fields like artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and space exploration that rival those in the U.S. With Indian-born CEOs like Sundar Pichai, Google, and Satya Nadella, Microsoft, leading some of America's largest tech firms, the Indian influence is deeply embedded in the global tech landscape. India's push towards self-reliance in technology has caught Washington's attention, especially as India develops its own semiconductor industry, a space where the U.S. once dominated. The U.S. is no longer just dealing with a partner in need, it's competing with an equal. So why is the U.S. scared of the new India? Because India is not just rising, it's transforming into a global superpower, one that challenges the very foundation of American dominance. Whether it's in defense, technology, regional diplomacy, or economic leadership, India is stepping into roles the U.S. once monopolized, and it's doing so with a confidence that Washington is struggling to match. Is America ready for a world where it no longer holds the keys to global leadership? Or will it continue to fight a losing battle as India redefines what it means to be a 21st century superpower? The world is watching, and so is the U.S., scared, unsure, and facing the reality that the new India is here to stay.
Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff that he said is most of the stuff that I heard in many videos. We all know that India right now is rising as a superpower in the world, and we know the U.S. doesn't like competitors. And so, yes, I think the U.S. is watching in fear of not wanting India to become a competitor. India is doing it in so many different ways, shapes, and forms. It's absolutely incredible to see the rise of India right now. Not just a developing nation anymore, but actually like a rising competitor is insane. Shout out India. That was a great video. Let me know you guys' thoughts in the comment section. Love to hear from you guys. If you enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe, get a video a thumbs up, and check out the next one. I'll see you guys next time.